Today's session is on Google Drive, specifically talking a little bit about the difference between My Drive and Team Drives and how to find things in My Drive and Team Drives. Can you all see my computer over here? My Drive? All right. The easiest way, there are two easy ways to get to My Drive, Google Drive. From AU Direct, in your Services button, you have a Drive button, which you can put on your favorites up here if you want. You can click on that. It brings you directly to a new tab in Google Drive. The way I often go there is through my Gmail. On any Google app, you've got this little Apps button, and you can pick the Google Drive app from there. And it'll open a new tab. Google Drive is basically a repository of files, and Google Docs and Google Sheets and Google Forms are the editing tools that you use on the files in Google Drive. You can upload files in a couple of ways. I can just drag the notes of today's meeting into my Google Drive and let go, and it'll upload. That's a document that was on my desktop or in a folder. And as you can see, it's got the Word icon. That means it's a Microsoft Word document. The other way is to use the New button, and you can upload a file, upload a folder, or you can create a new document that's a doc, a sheet, or a slide, or a form. Drive is really good at sharing files with other people. And the tools in Drive, the Google Docs, Google Forms, and Google Sheets, they work really well for the lower side of the spectrum of Word documents, spreadsheets, and forms that you need to share with other people. One challenge sometimes is that Excel and Word and other form tools, you have to pay for them. And the Google tools are free, so that's a huge benefit. But they don't always have every feature that some of the paid tools have. So as long as you're not doing some of the high-end formulas and things in Excel, most of what you can do in Google Sheets is the same as what you can do in those other word processing and spreadsheet processing tools. My Drive and Team Drive, you have two different disks, two different spaces in your Google Drive. My Drive is a list of every folder and file that you have access to, the files that you own and the files that other people have shared with you. Team Drives are shared folders that have a set of permissions on them where a team of people can share a whole group of documents together. All right. If you guys want these notes, this file, Google Drive tutorial notes, is one of the documents I'm working on. And here's the power of it. I've uploaded a Word document and I just want to share it with you. All I have to do is share it with advanced and say anyone with the link can get it. And I say save. I get the link and I can email this link to all of you so that you guys can get it. Or I could add individual names. So if I just send out a quick email to Shelley, Clara, Harold, Debbie, Suzanne, and Darlisa. Google Drive notes. I just give you guys that link And now you have access to view this document. Now, one of the things that confuses people most in Google Drive is when someone edits this document. If I go in and edit this document, open it up, this is a preview window, and I am previewing the Word version of this site because that's all that Google Docs can do. It can't edit a Word document unless you open it with Google Docs. And what that does is it creates a copy that is the Google Docs version, not the DocX. And this is where a lot of people have trouble. Okay. That's auto shared. I can just close it. And now when you look in my drive, we should be able to search for Google Drive notes. All right. And when you guys go look at it, you should see that that has changed. Okay. Team Drive is really best for when you want to share multiple files with the same group of people, when you don't want to have to add permissions to every individual file you're going to put in that folder, and when you want to keep a repository of documents for a team of people where people might be coming and going. Okay, a person can leave a team drive, a new person can join a team drive, and no individual owns the documents in the team drive. The documents are owned by the entire team. If I've created this document in my drive, which is where this document is, I am the owner. And if I leave Antioch and my Google Drive account is closed, even though I've shared it with you, you guys will no longer be able to get to that because I was the owner and I left. But if I had put this in a team drive for academic technology, for example, if I left, this document would still be available to the organization and everybody I shared it with. That's the power of the team drive. It allows you to do permissions once and they apply to every document in that team drive without you having to add individual permissions to each file you guys all put in there. So you can also have folders of content in my drive, but this is my academic technology folder, and I use the project files a lot. But you can see who owns these documents. They're not owned by the team, they're owned by an individual. They're in my drive, not in team drive. Okay, in my team drives, there is no owner column because the entire team drive, the entire team owns these files. This just has a who modified it last. Anybody have any questions?
So for sharing purposes, if you wanted to have something where you had permissioning so that certain people could see files, but other people could edit them, then a team drive is not appropriate. You would want to do that some other way.
No, you can do that with the team drive. The sharing is 99% of the sharing is the same with team drive. So in the case of this team drive, Staff Council, I can manage these members And this is true of individual documents and folders of information. In my drive, the permission is owner, not manager. But I am a manager in this folder, and Carolyn's a manager. But we also have a whole bunch of other people in here who are just contributors. So they can add and edit files, but they can't delete any. We could also have additional people in here who only have viewer access so that they can only view files and comment on them. A commenter can both view and comment, but they can't actually change the content in the file. So with a team drive, you still have the roles where people can be a manager, a content manager, a contributor, a commenter, or a viewer. And Google does change these from time to time. They didn't used to have just a content manager and a manager. They just had one of those, but they've broken it down so the content manager can do all the content, but they can't manage the members and the settings. So you can do that. And then that applies that to all the items in the folders. And if you have subfolders like this one does, it applies it to everything below. And if for a specific file you want to change the permissions, you can change the permissions on a particular file within that file, and that will override the team drive permissions. If there's a certain file that only one person can edit, you can change the sharing permissions. All right, so you can see who has access. So this shows you what everybody's access is. And then you could also additionally do link sharing and share specific documents with the outside world, or with just antioch.edu, or only with people who have the link. Would that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay. So in addition, in my drive, you can have folders and you can control the folder access in a very similar way. But you'll see you have a different set of permissions. You have an owner of the file, one owner, and then people have different permissions. They can organize, add or edit, or they can view. Those are the only two accesses that they have in this particular folder. So you have better control in a team drive, and people are often concerned that you can't invite people who don't have an antioch.edu account to be a part of a team drive, but you can in fact invite outside accounts. Google just gives you a warning saying, this person doesn't appear to be in your organization. Do you really want to share it with them? And you can say yes, or you can say no. We've had adjunct faculty, for example, who don't use, who want to log in with their home account and not with their Antioch account for a particular reason, or while they're on vacation, and you can give that person access to it. Okay. Google Drive has gotten a lot better lately with being able to move files around. People often find we're all used to using folders and subfolders on our desktop to organize our files. We own a copy of the file, it's on our desktop, we put it in this folder, in this subfolder, and we get to create that hierarchy so we know where to find stuff. Recently, Google has given better access to make folders and files, so you can do that in here. And one of the really cool tools that I just learned about was being able to do a shortcut. So if I use this project file a lot, you can see that the AT folder has tons and tons of subfolders, and I have a hard time finding things. But I often use these training materials, and I need to be able to get to this training schedule easily. And there's a couple of ways to make it easier for me to find it. One, I can star it, and that makes it appear in this starred section right here. of my drive. These are all the folders and all the files that when I've opened them, I've decided they're very important and I need to be able to find them quickly. And once it loads, there's a little star up here that you can click and turn it on the star. And any file or folder that you star will stay in this little label called starred, so you can find your top 20 or top 30 files really easily. Here's my training schedule that's starred. And then if any time these become unimportant to me, you just open them up and unclick the star, or right click and remove from starred. So I found that starred to make it really easy to, especially to mark files that other people have shared with me that I can't organize in my own drive. Another thing you can do is click on a document, and I'm going to pick this one, and I can hit Shift-Z, a weird shortcut, and it allows you to make a shortcut to this in another folder. So this is actually in the AT drive, but if I want it in my own little personal folder, I can say, I want it in my drive, I want it in BJP, and I can add it here. And if Katie updates that, it's quick and easy for me to find it because this folder is so short that here we go. This doesn't really live in my drive, it lives in the AT folder, but I've got a little shortcut to it now in my BJP folder, which is much easier to sort through because there's many, many fewer layers.
How do you know that's a shortcut?
I believe I don't know. That's a good question. This is something I just learned today from Emily upstairs. And I can show you that it's a shortcut, meaning it is a pointer to the original by calling this test. If I change this one and I close it, we can go in here and look and see, should be in the meetings, and we can see that it changed it here. So maybe this one indicates that it's a shortcut. I'm not sure. That's a new follow-up icon to me. So either way that I open it, it points me to the original one file. All right. And if I change that back, it'll change it back in both locations. So refresh it here. And you'll see the test went away. And in my drive, this shortcut, you'll see that it went away there. This is the only document I have a shortcut with, and so that makes me think that this one is the indicator. It's a new feature. I don't know how long it's been around. It's one of these little Easter eggs that they roll out, and you'd think, oh, I should be able to right click it and do make a shortcut, but it's not one of those options. You have to know the keyboard shortcut, which is Shift-Z. That's also in the notes. Okay. So as you're looking at my drive, you'll see over here, my drive, and these little arrows that open the subfolders, the team drive that open the subfolders, and then the other common things, your starred, shared with me. This up here is your quick access bar, and it's typically, Google has created an algorithm that puts up here the things you have used most often and most recently. They don't tell you what the exact algorithm is, and as far as I can tell, there's no way for you to assign something to quick access in Google. It determines it by how often, how recently it was edited, how often you view it, and that sort of thing. And then when you're in My Drive, you see you have the owner column and the name column. And the last modified column often helps me to find a document, because this My Drive can be really, 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 really long, and you don't get to name all the files because you're sharing them with other people. But if someone said, hey, I just edited that, you come to My Drive, you sort by the last edited arrow, and you're like, oh, okay, there's something in here that was just edited. And that's one easy way to find it. The other way to search, if you have a lot of files, you don't know what they're called, you know who they're owned by, this, surprisingly, is the advanced search tool. This allows you to search by who owns it, who's it shared with, what's in the item name. So I want to find everything that I've shared with Harold, and I do a search. Okay. And so if Harold has access to this, it's in here. And you'll see, instead of using the advanced search, you could just type in 2:h@antioch.edu. But this advanced search is so easy to use, it's almost easier just to pop it open and not do it. Now, if Katie and I had a document and I only wanted to find out, okay, what was that document that we were saying we had a question for Harold in? This searches the document title and the words in the documents for the word Harold. And that would just be the usual search. You could have just typed that up there. If I want to find all my agendas, I can search for the word agenda. This comes in most handy when you need more than one thing. If it has the word agenda and it is owned by, not owned by me, or if it's, let's say it's owned by Katie Golis, this allows you some really specific tools for searching. And then if you just hit enter, it'll say find everything in My Drive that is owned by Katie Golis and has the word agenda in it. Okay. Any questions specifically? I'll go back to My Drive. You'll see that My Drive can hold many, many, many types of files. It can hold folders. This is a form. That's the icon for a Google form. This is the icon for a Google Sheet. This is actually an Excel document that's not a Google Sheet. This is an Excel document, a Word document, a JPEG, a PDF, another Word document. You can put any types of files in here and use it just as a storage and sharing device. If someone gives you a Photoshop file, you can drag it over here, you can share it and give someone else access to it, and then they can download it. Essentially, you can use it just like Dropbox. You can't actually edit that Photoshop document here, but you can share it with other people. Now, I don't know if you guys know this tool. It's Control F, it's a find. When I'm in here, and there are so many documents, and I know it's in the AT meetings folder somewhere. This one's really long, short. If you use Control F, did you guys see this pop up down here in the bottom left of my web browser? Right here. This is a text to find button. It finds any text on this page. So if I wanted to find the word Terry, I type in Terry there, and it finds every instance of Terry on this page. Now in this case, there's only one, and it highlights it. But for example, if I had typed in the word, oh, look for that agenda, you would see there are 4 matches, and I can go down to the next one, next one, next one. This is particularly helpful when you have a long list of files and you say, oh, this is the Dagobet file. I just need to type in the word Dagobet rather than scrolling up and down trying to read every word. This tool, this Control F tool, works on all web pages, all browsers. It works in Excel, it works in Word. Control F is one of those almost universal keystrokes that allows you to find a piece of text in most software applications. So even if I'm just out on the Antioch webpage and I know that there's something on here called student forms, I can just do Control F, type in student forms, and you'll see it highlighted student forms rather than having to have me. And I know there's the academic technology website on this page somewhere. Oh, there it is. And it automatically scrolls your page down to the first instance that you're on and allows you to find things. This is super helpful when we have web pages that are really long, like this one. Many of our web pages have a lot of text and it's hard to find the section you want. So Control F, find the word library, and bam, it brings you right down to the library. This tool, I use this tool almost every day. It doesn't have anything to do with Google Drive or Google Docs specifically, but it's a great way to find things in a web browser and in some of your other applications. There's another new tip that I've seen recently where you can use a document. I was reading a recipe the other day and I wanted to be able to copy and paste it into an email rather than sending it as a photo. So I took this photo. Nope, that's not it. I took a photo with my phone and it's probably in my trash. Let's see if it's there. Yep, here it is. So I'm going to drag it out of my trash and put it back into my BJP folder. Restore. And when you look at it as a JPEG, you can see it's just a picture of a magazine photo. But if I needed that converted to text, I right-click, I open with Google Docs, and although it's not perfect, it converts that photo and does an OCR scan of it and reads the text out of that image. It works with PDFs, and it's taking just a little while. So it shows you the photo at the top, and then it writes down all the text that was in that document. And it even captured a difference in the color. This color is a lighter black color than this bold. It captured the bold text in the recipe and converted it to text for you. And then when you go back to your Google Drive, you now have the text version. You can see this is the Google Doc version of that image, and you still have the original image, so you don't lose the original image that you used. All right. I'm going to leave some time open for other questions. Anybody want to talk about how they use Google Docs? Anything that we can all answer as a team for you?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Clara.
When you have a Google Doc,